I want to welcome you guys to the first ever rod review and rod comparison for this channel. Now, in this series of videos, I'm going to see if there is a difference between a $100 rod versus a $500 rod when it comes to performance and, more importantly, sensitivity. Now, I know you're asking yourself, why do I have an ugly stick on the table? Actually, this was to throw you guys off, just to play a little joke on you. I'm not going to be testing out the ugly stick. Now, the rods I'm going to be testing out, the first one, well, actually, I'm going to go over the reasons why I picked these specific rods. Now, first of all, they're both the same length, and they both have right around the same lure ratings. They both have full cork handles, and they both are extra fast action. Now, to give you guys a little bit of a backstory, about a year ago, I decided I was going to become the best jig fisherman that I could be. Now, confession time, I've never actually caught a bass on a jig. I've tried a few times. It was very frustrating, very boring, dragging a jig on the bottom. And all the jigs I got hung up, and I lost them. So it was very discouraging. Now, something happened to me last summer where a guy told me that the spot that I was fishing at, this particular lake, he would catch at least 50 bass a day on a jig and pig or a jig and trailer. And from that point on, I decided I was going to see if I can become the best jig fisherman I could. And to me, that meant finding the most sensitive rod that I could afford. Now, if you ever go to any fishing forums, you'll see various threads asking what is the most sensitive rod, and inevitably every single thread is going to include this rod here as the most sensitive. That is the LOOMIS NRX. There we go. These came out in 2010, so they're pretty old, but they are generally universally known as the most sensitive rods available, at least here in America, for the USDM market. There are some rods in Japan that I've read were more sensitive, but one of the main reasons I got this rod, one, it was on sale at the time, and two, it comes with a really good lifetime warranty. Now, the second rod, or the $100 rod, I should say, it's going to be a rod you guys seen before. It's the SHIMANO Crucial. Now, this rod actually, I believe, is discontinued. It's not available anymore. But at the time, it was also more than $100. I believe it was $130 or $140. But yeah, this is going to serve as the $100 rod because pretty much a lot of people can afford this. And let's go over the rod ratings. Once again, the Crucial is 6'8". Lure rating is 1/4 to 1/2 ounce. Medium power with extra fast tip. Now the LOOMIS, hopefully this will focus for you guys, is a 6'8", extra fast, medium heavy, with a lure weight of 3/16 to 5/8 of an ounce. This is a perfect example of how different companies, even though LOOMIS is owned by Shimano, will have different ratings for their rods. So one company's medium might be another company's medium heavy, etc., etc. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is what makes a $500 rod a $500 rod versus a $100 rod. Now, the first thing during my research is going to be the blank. The LOOMIS uses a proprietary blank for the NRX. Generally higher end rods, especially bottom contact, are going to be higher in carbon content. They're going to be lighter, they're going to be stiffer, therefore they're going to be allegedly more sensitive. Now, one thing you can see is that the Crucial has a gloss coating over its blank from top to bottom, while the NRX has a little bit of a gloss coating just on this section here, but everything else is basically, it looks like it's unfinished, unsanded, raw graphite. And the reasoning behind that is that the gloss coating adds weight, and weight is the enemy of sensitivity. At least that's what they say. So let's go over the next thing that makes the LOOMIS a $500 rod versus the Crucial. Okay, so the next important thing that makes a rod more expensive are going to be the components. And what I mean by components, I mean the guide train. Now, the Crucial features stainless steel guides from Fuji with alkanite inserts. That'll focus there. And it has one double-footed guide at the very bottom, but the rest of them are single foot all the way to the tip. And there's a total of 10 guides, including the tip. Now, the NRX features titanium guides, the first 3 being double-footed titanium with SiC or silicon carbide inserts, and then the remaining guides, except for the tip, are titanium recoil guides. Let me see if I can get these on camera. So these are the recoil guides. They have no insert, but they are black nickel coated titanium. Now, titanium is supposed to be lighter than steel, and it's supposed to be just as strong, if not stronger. Therefore, it costs more. So that's one main reason why the NRX costs more than the Crucial. And also the LOOMIS features 11 guides total instead of 10. So if you're familiar with my channel, you know I like to weigh things. So what we're going to do is going to pull out a scale and weigh these rods. Okay, so I got a scale out here that's going to allow me to weigh these rods. And generally higher end rods are going to be lighter, and let's see if that's true. Now here's the Crucial. We're going to weigh this one first. Okay, that weighs in at 3.9 ounces. Alright, now the NRX is up next. Okay, so the NRX, despite having a bigger handle and more cork material, weighs a little bit lighter at 3.7 ounces. To give you guys an example of how significant that is, I'm going to bring back the ugly stick. Now this is just the bottom section because this is a 2-piece rod. So I'm not even going to include the top section, but the bottom section alone weighs 4.9 ounces. So it weighs over an ounce more than the entire NRX and an ounce more than the entire Crucial, just for the bottom section. So other than the guides and the blank, What makes the NRX a $500 rod? Now, I read something on Tackle Warehouse going over the features of the rod, and there was actually a lot of engineering and thought into making the NRX rods. What they did was they put the heavier, stiffer double foot guides towards the bottom to help with the balance, and put the recoil guides in the middle. So they didn't just get a high-end blank and slap a bunch of high-end guides on it and called it, you know, a $500 rod. There's actually some very detailed engineering in this. Now, they say that the NRX, you'll be able to feel changes in the bottom composition even at 60 feet. They say that little ticks will feel like thumps. Now, as you can see, I still have the tag on here. I have not fished this rod. I've had this rod for a few months, and the reason behind that is I wanted to share with you guys my experience firsthand of fishing a $500 rod versus a $100 rod, and give you my thoughts. I don't recall of any other video out there that goes over that, and I've devised a test to help me figure that out. Okay, so I think I may have mentioned it before, but this is going to be a multiple part series, and let me go over with you guys the tests that I've devised to see if the NRX is that much more sensitive, if at all, than the cheaper Shimano Crucial. I'm going to be using both my METANIUMs. These are both magnesium reels. These are both the XG ratio, so it should be perfect for fishing jigs. Now, the first test I'm going to do is it's going to be like an obstacle course, probably somewhere out in a parking lot. I'm just going to throw a jig out and close my eyes and slowly reel the jig back and see if I can tell the difference in the changing structure from grass to concrete to whatnot. And then I'm going to do the exact same thing back to back with the Crucial. And then I'm going to actually take you guys fishing with me. I'm going to probably go back to that same lake where the guy claims to have caught 50 bass a day on a jig and pig. And I'm going to just bring these two rods. I'm going to bring a bunch of jigs, and I'm going to just go fishing. And basically, I'm going to keep going fishing until I catch a bass on a jig on either, but hopefully the NRX. And if it proves to be that much better than the Shimano Crucial as far as sensitivity and fishability, then there's a really nice rod in Japan that I've always had my eye on. I may treat myself to that as a early Christmas present if I feel that the more expensive rod is worth it. So be on the lookout for that, and hopefully this will answer some questions for us, for all us guys who are wondering, you know, what makes a $500 rod better than a $100 rod, and hopefully we can find out. All right, guys, thanks a lot.